Welcome to Beauty Business Matters. I'm Susan Routledge, your host. And in this episode, I have the absolute privilege to be chatting to a good friend, Sue Ingram, who is a leadership expert who over the years has worked with so many of my members in Beauty Directors Club, helped them immensely in how to lead their team, also how to manage clients. This episode is just full of information, and what we're going to talk about is the 6 leadership skills that you need as a business owner. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you so much, Sue, for joining us.
It's lovely to be here.
Oh, I know. I mean, we get to spend loads and loads of time together sometimes, and then we have like a gap. But how many years is it that we've known each other now?
I think it's been 12. Time has gone so fast.
I know. Oh, my word. Now, obviously, I always struggle how to introduce you because you are so talented and so brilliant at all that you do, and I feel so privileged that I have you as one of our experts in Beauty Directors Club. But Sue, for everyone who hasn't come across you so far, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, a little bit. My background way back when was HR, and then I went and became one of the first executive coaches in the UK. That's 25 years ago. Can you believe that? And I have loved everything around leadership, people, communication ever since. And in actual fact, I was honorary teaching fellow at Lancaster University for about 10 years. And I taught on their MBA program for 4 years, which was all about how to lead difficult people. And what I do is I now specialize in helping people acquire the skills to communicate to people. Be that your staff member or your clients or customers or anyone like that, how to communicate. And there's 6 sets of skills that you need as a business owner to communicate to the team that you want to deliver the service, and also to communicate out to your customers and your clients. It's based on emotional intelligence, which is a skill set that we naturally acquire as we get older. As we get older, we become more emotionally aware. But it's also a skill set that we can really focus on and learn. You know, there's a myth that leadership and entrepreneurship is you're born, not made. Well, that's a fallacy. There are some people who just naturally are good at either leading people or entrepreneurship, but and they do have the gene for it, aren't they lucky? Yeah. Aren't they lucky? But there's a whole mass of us in the middle who are good at it, but actually could do with learning more and improving and polishing up our skills.
But I always think as well, you know, the day you stop learning is the day that you should.
Oh, completely.
There's always, in business, changes so much all of the time.
I mean, one big skill set for managing clients, markets, and people is curiosity. What's making them tick? What's making them buy? What is the latest thing that people are now asking? I mean, I came up here today and I picked up a free newspaper and I flicked through it. It's been years since I picked up a free newspaper and flicked through it. You know, one of those retro things. And I'm looking at that thinking, this is very different from what I read regularly when I was on the commute. 20, 30 years ago, completely differently. And I'm sitting there going, wow, this is interesting. This is interesting.
Yeah.
The terminology people are using, what they're buying, what excites them, the expectations they have, all those things are constantly changing.
Yeah. And you've just got to evolve. And this is where I see salon owners who are struggling.
Yes.
They're trying to still do business how they did it.
The old way.
And you've got to just be constantly learning, constantly evolving.
Constantly curious. Curiosity has to be number one. You know, when someone buys, why are they buying? When someone doesn't buy, why are they not buying?
Yeah.
You need to ask. You need to stand and ask that question of yourself, of people around you, and even of the client themselves. You know, what are you looking for that you think that I'm not supplying?
Yeah.
And the same is true of managing people, because what people want out of the world of work has changed dramatically, particularly since COVID. That's thrown all the cards up into the air.
Yeah.
You know, and people are coming with very different expectations now. So if you're employing people, what is it they want from work?
There is, I mean, now, I think since lockdown and since we I mean, obviously as salons, we were closed for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that for teams, for clients, everything's changed. You know, like, you know, the hours someone wants to work or the hours that a client wants to come in. All of those kinds of things, you know, how clients buy and you know, it's all changed. So, as I say, got to be constantly evolving. And this is why I'm so excited about what we're going to be talking about today. So, right, Sue. Right. So what are the six? Let's start from the beginning.
Let's go through the six, and I want to tell you the six, because I know our conversations, we go into some lovely places. But let me tell you what the six are. Number one, you need to have a vision. Everyone talks about this. And you kind of go, oh, but you need to know who you are. You need to know what you're delivering. You need to know what makes you different from the therapist down the road, from the business down the road. You also need to know, if you are employing people, what kind of employer you are. And there's no right or wrong answer here, because a lot of it will depend on you, your interests, and your personality and your own personal values. So there's no right or wrong here, but you have to state it. You have to know what it is. Because if you don't, you are in all kinds of trouble. I mean, we were talking earlier about, if you don't know who you are for your clients, you will get clients who don't know what they want.
Yeah, this is the thing. I always like to say, you put out wishy-washy, you get wishy-washy.
Completely. You'll get clients who don't turn up on time. You'll get clients who don't know what treatment they want. So if they don't know what treatment they want, how can you knock their socks off because they don't know what they want? It goes, and the same is true if you've got staff. The second one is, so you need to know who you are, your vision. The second one is you need to be able to work with different personality types.
Yes.
Because, and you need to be aware of what personality type you are, because we all are one, and then how you can irritate people who are different to you and how people who are different to you can irritate you. And if you're a sole practitioner, that is the ability to flex to the communication styles and the needs of each individual client. If you don't learn this, you've immediately cut your prospective client base in half.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, which is fine and dandy, but you're turning away 50%. And it's an approach, and you need to know how to do that. If you're employing a team of people, then this skill set will help you. How do I pull a whole group of different people together as one unit? How do they work as one team?
Yeah, and they've got to understand each other.
Yes.
Not only understand themselves, they've got to understand each other.
Yes.
And how to
and value each other
together.
And appreciate each other. There may be one therapist who's very scientific, brilliant. There may be another therapist who's very intuitive, brilliant. But how do you get the two of them to appreciate and work alongside each other? You know, and really value each other and really value the strengths that each of those approaches can bring to the salon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I trained in IMA strategies with James Knight, who founded it. And that's like high yellow, high blue, high green,
that's
high
the
red.
one.
And,
that's the one.
And I think most entrepreneurs are high yellow.
Yes.
But the thing is that means you just always on to the next thing. And and you know, I've in my team I've got some who are like high green and high blue, and the thing is they just
they don't.
They're just like, we need something written down. We need to know.
Yes, I need a process. I need a system. What should I be doing?
And I'm just like, oh yes, okay. Yeah. But
and the constant I get from leaders and business owners who are managing teams is, why can't they be like me? And I'm going, honey, if they're like you, they'll be running their own salon. They won't be working for somebody.
Yeah.
And to get to grow a business through a team, you need to understand that fact and work with people who are different to you and give them a great working environment, have them have a lot of fun and contribute a lot of effort to your business. I mean, as a business owner, you're always looking after that thing. In HR, we called it discretionary effort. They stay late and they tidy up. Yeah, they come up with a good idea all of their own. They're putting in extra all the time that you're not asking of them. They're just choosing to do that. That's when you know you've built a really great working team environment, when you see that kind of activity coming back.
Yeah.
And that's when that's just wonderful. So we've got vision, and then we've got working with people who are different to you. And then we have got being able to get the best out of one individual person. In other words, some coaching skills, how to get the best, how to kind of coach and get people feeling good about themselves. Because when people feel good about themselves, they do great work. Now, obviously, that's clear when you've got a team. I need to know how to coach people so they do great work for me. But if you're just a sole person, then how can you make your clients feel great when they leave? Not just from the treatment, but from the conversation you're having. Because we've talked about this before, Susan, the fact that often as a therapist, you're almost a pseudo-counsellor.
Yeah. You do. Yeah.
You know, people will come and disclose stuff to you, and they'll cry, or they'll celebrate, or there'll be something, or they'll talk about a worry or a problem. How do you help them feel better about whatever issue they may be presenting with, so they leave not only feeling glorious in terms of the treatment, but also kind of like, oh, I was heard, I was appreciated, I was understood, and now actually I've got an idea about what I might do.
And there's a whole thing around setting boundaries around that as well, because it's like that you've got to have that sort of separation still kind of thing.
Oh, yes.
Because you don't want a client to go home and think, I shouldn't have said that.
Yes. And you need to make it okay. You need to normalise any disclosure that they do make. And it's a simple thing of saying, do you know what? I've had clients before talk about this to me. This is normal. But you also don't want them to become dependent on you. There's a certain type of client that will come dependent on you, in which case you need to know how to close it off. And this is true if you're managing staff as well. The worst scenario I ever heard was of a manager who phoned me up and said, Sue, I've got myself in a pickle. And I said, what's going on? And she said, he's not well. It was a stress-associated illness, so it's kind of mental and physical kind of illness. And somehow she had found herself attending GP appointments with him. I said, that's too far. That's too much. There is a boundary between being a supportive therapist and a supportive employer. Yeah. But there's a certain point when you say, I can't do that. And that's when you can signpost people on.
Yeah,
and you need to know to signpost people on. If someone comes in with a marital difficulty, then just say, Relate is here. In fact, Relate is just around the corner, and And other clients have spoken very well of the experience they've had with Relate. Maybe that's something you might want to consider.
It's a really good idea to actually have a set of phone numbers kind of thing that you can then pass it on to someone, so that so that you can automatically deflect it and say, this is a little bit out of my realm now.
Yes. But if you've raised it with a concern with me, then it is a concern, and you need to go and speak to a trained professional in this area. I'm not that trained professional. I am not that trained professional.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true if you're an employer. If you're a big employer, big employers have something called EAPs, which are employer assistance programs. And they pay a fee every month. And what it means is that any employee of theirs can contact this number for counselling, for financial support, for legal support, free of charge. And they do that because they recognise that it is they want to make that boundary, and but they still want to be supportive.
Yeah.
But it's not their place to be.
Yeah.
To step in.
And obviously, this is the thing with a small business, you haven't got the capability.
You haven't got the capability. And I have looked at those services and asked, you do small businesses? And the answer is no. And I'm thinking,
Yeah, please.
It might be something. Maybe an association, a beauty salon association or something, could provide that as a service. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's something to look at. But even if you haven't got access to that, you should definitely have the boundary clearly in place and be able to refer people on. I mean, I've had a conversation with an employee in the past and said, right, you need to phone Relate. I'm now leaving the room. Here's the number, here's your phone them, book an appointment.
Yeah.
I've left the room, they've booked the appointment. They were all a bit distressed by things, obviously, because these things are never easy. But she said later, Sue, that was brilliant. Thank you, that was brilliant. That was exactly what I needed.
I think quite often it's someone's taken that step to even talk about it. It could be the first time they've ever spoken about it as well. And then...
Yes.
So, and then it's just that follow-on step, isn't it, really?
Yes. So as a coaching manager, therapist or manager, you've got to keep a straight face. I have been told some shocking things. And I'm like, but being the first person that anyone has ever
it's
informed,
different extremes, isn't it?
It's a really privileged position, and I'm like, crikey, Sue, keep a neutral face. Keep a neutral face. Don't display shock. Because for this person, it's real.
Yeah.
For this person, it is absolutely real.
Yeah.
And it's a huge privilege. It tells you a lot about your ability to build trust and rapport with someone that they disclose something like that with you.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah,
yes.
It really does. But you need to have clear actions as to what you're going to do if any such disclosure comes through. But don't be afraid to say, oh gosh, this is important to you. I can tell this is really important to you. I need to do some thinking. I need to think.
Yeah.
And then go away, research, figure out, and refer them on. Does that make sense?
Totally, yeah.
Refer them on. So we've got visionary, we've got working with difference, building a team together. We've got coaching individual people. Being included in the decision making. This is important when you've got a team, because you want to include them with as many decisions as they possibly can be. This is because if they're not involved in any decision making at all, you've set up a parent-child dynamic. They just do what you say, and they just dutifully walk around like little children doing what you say, and they start behaving like children. And you do not want that, because that means you have to constantly be there. You have to constantly be monitoring what they're doing, because you can't trust them.
Yeah. And as well, I always think as well, if someone hasn't got any input into a decision, I know even if, and I always teach salon owners I work with to involve everyone in decision making, even if you've made that decision, make it look as if it's their decision.
Yes.
And I do that even into who I employ.
Yes. You've got a pretty good idea who you're going to employ.
Yeah. But then as well, they're the ones who are going to have that time and be working with them. And I always think for them to make that final decision, because then if it gets a little bit where it's not working out exactly, they're the ones who are going to step up, because they're the ones who said that's the person to come and work for us. So you find that it bonds everyone together, rather than if I just said, right, Jenny's coming to work with us now.
Yes.
And
they're like, well, who's Jenny?
Yeah, kind of thing.
Who's Jenny? I don't know who Jenny is. Yeah.
You need to have that bond.
Completely. And Body Shop, there's quite a few businesses that had that. Body Shop being one, and another one called Semco, based out in Brazil. And I'm sure there's lots more. A manager was always interviewed by the staff they were going to manage.
Yeah.
And the fear was that the staff would go for the soft, easy option. Actually, no, they didn't. They did not. They were like, no, we want a manager who says it as it is, who knows what they want, who communicates to us, who will hold us accountable, who won't put up with too much rubbish from some people in the team, and all those kind of things. They're looking for firmness. They're looking for leadership. And they selected those people. And if you've got a colleague, then definitely, you're appointing a colleague in the team, because you never know. You never know. Someone can come up and go, well, Jenny, do you know Jenny has got a reputation for X? I know of her from somewhere else. And you're going, oh, okay, that's useful to know. That is useful to know.
I always think as well, when you're employing someone or interviewing someone, the thing is that someone can talk a really good interview.
Oh, yes.
But then I always get them to come back when I've sort of sifted through.
Yes.
I always, first of all, I obviously put the job ad out. Then what I do is I always then do like the Zoom interview because I don't want to get everyone in. I want to find
say
out.
hello,
I want,
the face, the smile.
And I want to see as well whether they've thought about the background they're in, what
Yeah.
they're wearing, all that kind of thing, rather than just a phone call.
Yeah.
And then the next step from there is they would come in and do like a trade test, but the team would do that.
Yes.
And then from there, they come in and spend some time
just
on reception, just hanging out, and I'm never there. And the thing is, it makes such a difference because then their guard goes down and then they start just being how they would be at work kind of thing, talking about the boyfriend or girlfriend and, all that kind of thing. So you get a truer reflection.
You do. And the biggest danger in recruitment is hiring the professional interviewee. Because some people just can naturally sell really well and sell themselves really well. And they're wonderful. But exactly what you described is what you should be doing. Exactly what you describe.
Yeah.
And also for the individual themselves, because they should be wanting to work in an environment that suits them, that they are excited to work with.
Yeah.
And they get an opportunity to see their future colleagues, to see how the systems work, to see how it goes, to get an intuitive sense of oh, look, this is it. And gosh, you know what? The kitchen's always tidy. The kitchen's clean.
Yeah.
I like this because I've just come from a place where the kitchen looks like a swamp.
But it definitely does work as well because, my team, obviously at my clinic I've had for 36 years now, but I still stay in touch with.
You told me a tale the other day.
So long ago. But I mean, even just a couple of weeks ago, the team were all out with like past team members, so ones who've worked with us over 10 years ago, and it does work. I mean, in 36 years, I only ever lost someone to end of the salon once, and we normally stay in touch. Some are in Australia, they're all over the place, but it's so good.
You are a natural leader. I know you've strengthened and developed your skills over the years, undoubtedly have done. And you may tell stories of, 20 years ago I handled a situation like that. Actually, now I would handle it differently.
Totally.
Yeah.
But again, that's because business changes all the time. And how you would handle it.
It changes.
Scenarios.
It definitely changes.
Different scenarios.
But you are a natural leader. You are a natural leader. And I would want to come and work for you. If you told me stories about, hey, if I'm at reception desk and someone who worked for you 10 years ago walks in going, hello, everybody, I'm going, God, I want to work here. Because this is quite interesting. This is why people want to be part of something significant. Everyone thinks that people go into work for money. Money's part of it. Money's about 6 on the list of what people want. Yeah. What they want over and above money, and this is really great for you as a business owner, because these things are free, they don't cost you money, is they want recognition. They want to be appreciated for the work that they do. And they want to be seen as an individual, not just a cog in the wheel. They want you to know them for who they are, for what their strengths are, what their passions are, what their weaknesses are, and all the rest of it. They want to be known as an individual person. They want to be absolutely recognized for that. And you excel at that, Susan. You
Oh,
absolutely,
thank you.
no, you do. You absolutely excel at it, just naturally. But other people can, if you're not good at that, then you can learn it. And then they also want to be part of something significant. They want to be part of an excitement, a sort of thrill, a team.
Yeah.
They're part of something. They don't want to, they want to be part of a tribe.
Yeah, I always want someone to follow their dreams as well. I always hire on personality. I always think you can teach someone
Skills are easy.
skills, but
Yeah.
that how they present themselves and how their attitude and things, that's really, really important. And I love the fact that, I always want someone to follow their dreams, and quite often they'll go off and do something, but then come back again or want to come back again.
Yeah.
And I always say to everyone, unless someone leaves and they've completely burnt their bridges, stay in touch, because the thing is, the grass is always you think the grass is greener on the other side.
And also, within your sector, there's a lot of younger people coming out of college and a little bit starry-eyed.
Yeah, you want them to be ambitious.
Yeah, a little bit starry-eyed about it. But it's you want to. This is where the coaching comes in, because you want to have them retain that passion as the kind of years go by, when it's, and so you need to stay close and help them stay close to that. And if they genuinely have lost the passion, then let them go.
Yeah.
Because it's not doing them a favour, you a favour, or the client a favour. If they have genuinely, look, I thought it was going to be this, it's not this, I'm not interested in what it actually really is, I want to go and do something else, and let them go. But they can always come back. As you say, they can always come back. And people in their 20s and 30s are on a massive exploration as to what they love doing. What do they love doing? They have an idea. When I think back to the ideas that I had in my 20s, no, there's no relation to what I'm actually doing now and what I find totally fascinating and I've got my passion for doing now. There's no relation. And so as a manager, you've got to understand that as well. And you've got to help them go through that and hopefully stay with you as they do it. But if they don't, if clearly that it's not them, then let them go.
But we're very fortunate in our industry as well, because there's so many different elements. You train, but then, and I always like to say this, there's not very many careers where you can just take one element and go and make that your complete career. It could be just nails, it could just be makeup, it could just be facials. There's teaching, there's all sorts. You can
go
literally
very scientific.
Travel the world.
I know, and you know of business, and we both know of business, where they specialise in trans men transitioning to women. And there's a lot of treatment, lot of facial treatment that comes with that. Very scientific, very, very compassionate work, actually. Do you know what I mean? It's quite an emotional piece of work. So, and they specialise in that, and they have people travelling for miles to be treated with that. As you say, you can go anywhere you like. You can go high, exotic, glam, false everything, or you can, you do everything you like. It's extraordinary.
It's a fabulous industry. I always like to say, you can't be a plumber and just do pipes, but you can in our industry. You can just take one little bit of it.
You can. So we've got that. We've got visionary. We've got knowing different personality types, building your team, coaching individuals. What was the third one? Oh God, I forgot. Including them in decision making.
Yeah.
Including them in decision making. There's a tendency as a boss to make all the decisions. I've got to make all the decisions. You don't, actually. You don't. You'll exhaust yourself if you do.
Yeah.
Let them make the decision. How do they want the kitchen done? What kind of coffee do they want to buy? What, even down to the colour of the salon, you can have a whole kind of obviously you need to have a decision in terms of marketing and does it fit brand, but there could be, you could delegate parts of that as well. What flowers should we have at the front for the season? What, all kinds of things you can delegate away.
It takes pressure off as well, because trying to make all the decisions yourself is exhausting as well.
You can't. You physically can't anymore. And no business owner should be working 8, 9 at night whilst their staff skip home at 5. Absolutely not. I mean, there's stuff you need to do separate from the salon, your bookkeeping and your accounts and all that kind of thing. But anyway, I see it too often, that business owners getting exhausted by it. And when it comes to client work, include your client in the decision making, give them the options, have a discussion, talk about what they want, what is it they're looking for. We've got this option or that option, this, that. And they'll see you as the expert guide that then, and they'll also see you as someone who doesn't just have one tool in the box, someone who has a range of tools in the boxes, which boosts your expertise in their eyes.
But as well, involving them in what you're bringing into the salon or clinic it's gold dust, because the thing is, if they've said that they're really interested in something and they would have that treatment, see, when you bring it in, you're like, we got it for you. So you need to buy. Those ones who've said that they're really interested, they're the ones that you have an event for.
And when you've got a client who's been with you for some years, you can include them in that, and you can run. You can run.
Love it.
You can run. And there's a really big thing about having some of your clients be the pioneers to test things out.
Yeah, all clients love it.
When you talk amongst your friends, are they interested in this product? What are their current concerns around beauty? What are they talking about? And they'll tell you.
And this is one of the things as well. We, as an industry, we don't ask for recommendations and referrals as often as we should, because I think clients forget that that you grow in a business, and there's no shame in saying, I really need I would love to have more clients just like you, and I know that you will have all of your friends will be similar in what they like to you, so and clients love that. They love the fact that oh really,
there's a friend of mine
them as well
who's a hairdresser in Chelsea. She's been there for years, decades, and a lot of her clients are businesswomen, and she will ask that, not everyone obviously, but only those that know her well, and those who are fighting for her. She will check in with them, and she's had some fantastic support and advice. I mean, some of them are legal people, so she'll sort of say, what's going on with this, and what are my options, and they'll help her out.
Yeah, I hear of that all the time. All of the time.
It's just and they feel so close to you. The thing is not to burden, not to be in real need, and to be very appreciative of it as well.
As well, I've known of salons as well where it's been the client who's found their next hire.
Yes.
Because they've known that they need someone.
Yes.
And they've been on a lookout and said, oh, I know this girl, I think she'd be really good, and I think
she'd fit in. I think she'd fit in well here.
And obviously you're not poaching, because that client's the one who was has approached that team and said, so and so is looking for a new therapist. I go there, they're lovely. And quite often, they're the ones doing the promoting.
And we make a big thing about recruitment being fair, and recruitment does need to be fair, but the old network never fails. That is the place to go. When I worked HR, and I worked HR and IT in the city, very fast paced, and we couldn't get staff because we did it all off referral. We gave people who successfully referred somebody in a bonus. Member of staff who successfully referred someone in, and that's mainly where we hired people from. And just as you say, we found people who were like them. They were their friends, and they had gone to college together, and they'd done this together, and they thought that they would fit, and they did fit, and they were fantastic. And it cut down the time I spent recruiting, the advertising costs. It did have the bonus thing, but that was minuscule compared to the advertising costs at the time, and all that kind of thing. Just cut it all down. It just sped the whole process up, and I got great people. Fantastic. The whole networking thing works brilliantly. when you go with that. Absolutely brilliantly.
Yeah, because I mean, it is quite a hard recruit, like we said earlier, because someone can talk a good interview and things, and you can still go through the full process, and it's still not work out. But when someone's known someone for a couple of years, going through college together or whatever, it's very hard then for.
I think you've got to be realistic about recruitment. I mean, I know banks and stuff, and they put occupational therapists and psychologists behind recruitment processes, and they give them task days where they build bridges and all that kind of stuff. They still make recruitment mistakes. They still make recruitment mistakes. So it is a bit hit and miss, but there's a lot of things you can do to minimize that, and it's really quite easy. It really is quite easy to do it.
But I think sometimes as well, I always think there's never anything goes wrong. It's just something, sometimes you have to learn from something. So, we've had employed team members who, it hasn't been that they're a bad person, but they just haven't.
They don't fit.
Don't fit. But then you just learn that little bit extra about.
They don't fit for whatever reason. And I absolutely agree with the comment you made earlier. I hire for personality. I hire for attitude. You want someone who's honest, on time, reliable, cheerful, positive, solutions focused. You don't necessarily need to have someone who's a good laugh, because some people can be brilliant but not necessarily have a sense of humour. So that's not so much of an point. But they need to be able to kind of get on. They need to know who they are, which is difficult when they're about 20 and in their 20s, because they know who knows who they are in their 20s. But they need to take responsibility. They need to take ownership. They need to have a sense of purpose themselves. And you can recruit for all of those things. And as I say, you can then send them on the training course. Yeah. When I worked IT, I hired people with no IT experience. None. And they were some of our most successful hires. But they had a logical mindset, and they had the ability to learn quickly, all of these things that I needed. And that's what I hired for. And I hired cheap. I hired cheap. Because I provided training.
One of the issues in our industry where I see people leaving, is that they can't see the progression, because there's this, I mean, I always teach to have 9 different steps through roles kind of thing, and they don't necessarily all have to have a higher pay scale. Sometimes it is just that
it's interest,
so you can see that you're progressing through a company, because predominantly, in the past it's been therapist, senior therapist, manager, and then from manager, where do you go from there? And that's where I see a lot going, because a lot have they haven't been given the skills to be a manager. So basically it's just a way of trying to keep them rather than them leaving, by giving them that promotion. But then because they haven't got the skills, they're trying to tell the rest of the team what to do, because they've suddenly moved into this new role.
And they're doing something very difficult. They're managing people who used to be their friends. And I say used to be, because as a manager, you can't kind of moan to your staff. Whereas when you're a colleague, you can kind of moan and go, oh God. And it's a different thing. And too many people go into management for that very reason. And it's a falsehood.
And that's, so, there's so many different, small things, from sort of, principal, senior therapist to head therapist, all that kind of thing. So you can put other roles in place
and recognize people's expertise as they acquire it.
But as I say, when it just gets to that point where someone's a manager, but they're not a manager in essence, because there's such a big difference in a manager in our industry, and I think in a lot of industries, where a manager can be someone who's hiring and firing, or someone who's just a key holder. And still doing the same role kind of thing.
You have to be very, 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 very clear on the role that you're promoting anyone to if you're in that position. Because a key holder and calling them a manager is confusing. No, call them the key holder. Don't call them manager. because manager has got so many connotations to it. And I get I get people coming to me and going, "Hi, I'm having problems with a staff member." And I go, "Okay." I said, "What's your role?" "Oh, I'm team supervisor." I said, "Can you hire? Can you fire?" "No." I said, "So you're not a manager, you're a team supervisor. How close is the manager to this member of staff?" "They're not." I said, "So in actual fact, you are a manager, but you've been given the title of team supervisor, but you haven't given the authority. And you can't manage that person because there's no consequence."
Yeah.
If I go in and say, "You need to do this," and they don't do it, that I, as a team supervisor, have no consequence. I cannot follow through. So I say, okay, so forget the team member. Your first conversation is with the manager, because they have to make the decision on the hire or fire. And they have to get that this person is a troublemaker.
Yeah.
And I've got it actually with a really senior. I'm coaching a senior person in a big company, big national, actually international company, and he's got a team member who's not performed very well. In actual fact, has cost the company some money. And he's spoken to his boss about this team member, saying, "I want to take action." And his boss has gone, "No, leave it." And I'm going, "Oh." So your conversation is actually with the boss. It's not with the team member at all. It's with the boss, making him realise actually the cost of this person. Anyway, we've set a strategy. The boss is now more involved in this team member and set the team members some targets that they want achieved. I said, okay, let it run. Let the boss experience exactly how this individual plays the game. And she plays the game very well, of appearing to do stuff but not actually doing it.
Oh, I think that happens a lot.
And this is why the boss said, no, because she had played the game successfully with him. But her immediate boss had caught on to this and was like, I'm not getting what you were assuring me that you're going to give me. I'm not getting it. And so anyway, so it's being played out at the moment, and I'm sure that the big boss will recognise it, and go, oh, I'm being played here.
But it's quite often because they're not there. So
they're not there.
Seeing it.
So if you're in a smaller salon and you've said, "You're the team supervisor, darling, don't do that," and then you disappear thinking, "Job done, I don't have to worry about it." Because that team supervisor needs to have authority.
Yeah.
The staff beneath them need to know there's a consequence if what they request is not followed through on. And you can't skip away free on that.
Yeah.
Much as you would love to, and I know we would all love to, you can't. Which leads me on to
you put in if you don't nip it in the bud, then it's like
yes.
Everyone else is like, well, so and so didn't happen, nothing happened.
Yeah, and so you've got 3 staff members that are really good and turning up and doing it, and one that's playing the system a bit, in playing the games and being a bit foolish, and a team supervisor who doesn't have authority. This one gets away with it. The 3 over here start getting resentful.
Totally.
Well, look, I'm busting a gut here. I'm doing the extra. They're not. In fact, I'm going in and having to clean their waxing machine. Because I've got a client coming into that room, and I can't have a client coming in with the machine looking like that. And I've mentioned it to the team supervisor, and still nothing. That wax machine is still a mess.
Yeah.
You know, resentments, they bubble. And they're not told directly, but they bubble, and then they start. It's like a little fungus mold.
Yeah.
It starts, and it's little tendrils of it until you've got an infestation, and then you've got a problem.
Yeah. Totally. And it's all down to systems as well.
It's down to systems, and which leads me on to, so I've done
fifth.
Yeah, well done. The 5th, you need to have standards.
Yeah.
You need to have protocols, systems, and standards.
Yeah, totally.
And you set expectations. This is what I expect us to deliver. And the same with your clients. I expect my clients to turn up on time. I expect to pay in advance. I expect to. So you have to be very clear on those expectations. You have to know what they are. You have to communicate them again and again and again and again. And the secret is to communicate them endlessly without sounding like a nag. And that's a skill set all of its
Yeah.
own that you can learn as a leader how to come over and repeat again and again and again, because you think you just say it once and they've got it. No.
Yeah.
Every opportunity.
Educating everyone in that company.
Every opportunity you reinforce, this is the standard that we work to. This is what we do. I heard Gary Vee the other day telling a story. Do you know Gary Vee?
Yes.
Yes, he's a great marketing guru
Yes.
and man of huge energy. He started his business running a wine shop. And they just started delivering wine. This was donkeys years ago. And he said it was 23rd of December and it was snowing. And this woman phoned up and she said her case of wine had not been delivered. And she wanted it for the Christmas meal. And it's the 23rd of December and there's snow everywhere. And he said, I grabbed the case of wine and I drove there and I delivered it. And it took me 3 hours to deliver that case of wine. And he said, I came back and my dad was furious with him because he was still working with his dad at the point. And his dad was like, but we were so busy. We needed you in the shop. What were you doing this 3-hour thing for? A case of wine's not important. And he said, actually, the ROI on that case of wine was tremendous because it let everyone in the firm know that's what we want to be known for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what we want to be known for. And to be seen as the senior person, grabbing the case, jumping in his car, driving through snow to deliver the case for Christmas, because Christmas was happening, he said, that action and the statements and the conversations that people had around that afterwards, he said that case of wine was invaluable.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And this is what I mean about having standards. No, and it comes back from the vision as well. So you've got the vision to be this. What's the behavior that you need to display and your team needs to display and your clients need to display in order to fulfill that vision? So this is where you set the standards. Now, it can be the protocols. It can be a tick sheet. It can be competitions. It can be employee awards. You can play endlessly with how you reinforce. Don't make money don't be quick to go for money as an incentive.
No, we never do money as an incentive.
Don't.
And that's, I don't see, I mean, there's a lot of companies who incentivize with products and that, but most of the salons I work with, all of that team get the products at cost price anyway. So it's not
such a big thing.
incentive.
It's almost
like
taken, and it's quite boring actually.
Quite fun. It's always like
it's got to be fun,
and we make it more of a game of chance as well.
Oh yeah, and have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is where you need to be quite creative, and if you're not creative, because I'm not creative. I mean, I've heard some great incentive schemes. And I'm like, oh God, that's such a good idea. How come I didn't think of that? Because that's such a great idea. But I'm just not. There'll be someone either in the team or outside the team or in the family or in your network who's a party person. The type of person who can organise a great party.
Yeah.
Ask them.
Yeah.
Because they'll come up with the game.
But as well, it's got to be one of those things where, again, if you just walk in and like, oh, this is what we're doing now, they're like, no. Whereas if they feel
if
they've been involved in the decision.
The story I always tell was from a friend of mine who was in IT, and she was they were running a help desk, and in running the help desk, they sometimes had to. They sometimes had the opportunity to sell a product to the individual, because in helping them, look, you clearly need a bigger hard drive. Look, here's a hard drive that I'd recommend. It's 53 quid, and we can deliver it to you tomorrow. So these help desk people also needed to be salespeople. And they didn't like sales. They didn't like any mention of being sales. So the first idea was to give them bonuses on how much they sold. Well, that just switched them off completely. Because look, we're help desk. We're techie, helpy people. And so they didn't do that at all. But they did give them some training, and they presented this whole thing as, look, you're helping the client. If they need a bigger hard drive, they need a bigger hard drive. That's going to be the solution to their problem. And here we've got a hard drive that can arrive tomorrow for them. So sell them the hard drive. So they did a big thing on that. And one guy came up and rather tentatively said, hey, I've sold a product. And she was so thrilled. The manager was so thrilled. So thrilled. Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And she looked around her desk and she had a wagon wheel. And she said, here, have a wagon wheel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And he went, oh, okay. All right. And he went off with his wagon wheel. And the next day, another guy came up and said, oh, I've sold a product. And she was like, oh, that's brilliant, that's brilliant, that's brilliant. And then he stood there and said, where's my wagon wheel?
Yeah.
And she ended up with a box of wagon wheels under her desk. And she was posting them out, and they were pinning them up as little trophies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is exactly the incentive you want, because it came from them.
Yeah, exactly.
They got excited about wagon wheels. I mean, wagon wheels was immaterial. The other thing that she did also was, if they made certain amount of sales, if they hit a certain target, I don't think it was monetary, I think it was something else. They at the time they got flat screens were coming in. Before that, there were those big, thick monitors. Flat screens came in, and if they hit a certain target, they got a flat screen on their desk, which to a techie was thrill upon thrill. Yeah.
And as well, so visual, isn't it? So everyone wants one.
Everybody, you could see, and there was the grand unboxing and the plugging in of and all the rest of it, flat screen. She said what they didn't realise is that we were in the process of replacing monitors with flat screens anyway. It wasn't their personal property. It still remained an asset of the business. Yeah. But for them, it was significant. And this comes back to understanding your staff.
Yes, totally.
Understanding your staff and understanding your clients. What for them is significant.
Yeah.
And giving them this significant thing. Yeah.
Very clever.
And so if I was doing incentives, I'm not that creative. I would go and find someone who's highly creative.
Yeah, and we always make them so the
party person
and
the party person, because the party person knows how to make the game real, and then and then just have a great time with it. Just have a great time with it, and really good. So that's number 5 is accountability.
6.
Number 6, okay. Saying no.
Love it. Yeah.
Saying no. And saying no. And feeding back.
Yeah.
And being the one in charge and saying, no, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff before has been nice, hasn't it?
It's
been
very
fun.
Like I think as well, when it is a small team, I see it where someone will quite struggle with that. And I always like to say, if you can't say no, then just like say, leave that with me and I'll come back to you. And then
never say yes.
Yeah. But it's so easy to like feel pressurized, especially if there's 2 or 3 who are like wanting something. Yeah. But I always like to say, just always say, I just need to go and look at this.
I want to make a distinction here, because particularly with small businesses where everything's nice and you're in the service industry and you want to make a great environment for your clients walking in and all that kind of thing, there's a tendency to say, we're a family. We're one family. You're not. You're not a family. Yeah. If your brother gets drunk, kills someone and ends up in jail, you'll go and visit him. If a staff member does that, you'll never visit them. Do you know what I mean? That sounds so blunt, but it's so true. There's things you would do for a family that you would never do for an employee. No, you are not a family. And this comes back to the vision and the identity and what you want to create. You are a group of professionals that support one another, that deliver exemplary service, that behave in these ways.
Again, it's back to boundaries, isn't it? Kind of thing. And it's
because as a family member, you will forgive a lot.
Yeah.
To keep the peace. We're all, Christmas is being a classic thing here. We all gather around the Christmas table and we see behaviour that we wouldn't necessarily put up with. Yeah. Amongst our friends or amongst our colleagues or anything, but they're family, so you keep the peace. You don't, they're family. It's do not say you're a family, because you are not a family. You are
Yeah.
not. You are a group of professionals
Yeah.
coming together to provide a service.
I always love when you always like say to have a hard back, soft front
Yes.
kind of thing. That's a brilliant one kind of thing.
Yes,
Just like,
because
you've got to like be able to say that no,
yes,
but have that
yes,
empathy.
because people think you're either I'm a lovely, kind person, or you're a hard-nosed, and they think it's two opposites, and you choose which one you're going to be. No. The answer's the middle ground, where you are both firm, fair, and clear. No.
Yeah.
No. And also supportive, kind, and helpful. So the hard back is, no, that's not how we behave around here. Now tell me what's going on, because clearly something's going on here. Do you see my tone of voice even changed? No, that's not how we behave around here. Now tell me, what's going on? Clearly something's going on. What's going on around here?
Yeah.
Because I'm curious. Why did you behave in that way? Because it's clear that we don't behave in that way. So something's gone on. What's gone on? Let me help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how you do it. It's the middle ground. It's the middle ground. And that's one thing that you need to become very comfortable with as a leader, is you need to become comfortable with paradoxes.
Yeah. But again, though, it's the same with clients. You
Yes.
have to sometimes be able to say no to a client,
Yes.
because clients can be quite intimidating.
Oh, yes.
Especially if they want to have something done. And if you like, I always like to say, if you're in doubt, don't do it,
Yes.
kind of thing. But clients can be quite intimidating. So
They-
being
they
able
can-
to say
they
like no
can
and
push.
giving them the reason
Yeah.
why.
They can push, they can bully, they can play the game, they can play emotional cards. They're not doing it malevolently, they're doing it because it works. But it's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
It's not going to work with you, because you want a salon where the clients are you want staff that are respectful, you want clients that are respectful.
Yeah.
You yourself are respectful. You want an environment where people have fun, enjoy themselves, and are respectful.
Totally.
And so the thing you've got to learn is how to say no. I remember when I did it. It was so funny. I was working for this company, and I was in charge of the car fleet. Don't ever do that. It's a nightmare, because people are always complaining about the car's not right and all this kind of thing. And this one guy came up, and he was big tail about how the car wasn't right and how he wanted to change the car. And anyway, he caught me on a bad day because I'd had enough and I was tired. And I just went, no. And he went, oh, okay, and walked away. And I was standing there in the corridor. I could even picture the corridor going, was it that easy to say no? And the answer is yes.
Brilliant. Sue, this time has flown over.
Have we gone over? Are we done? Gosh, we could speak for hours.
Oh, I know, and we
I've
do,
only just
and we do.
started. Really.
That has been absolutely amazing. We actually didn't get to chat about the book. It's like, Sue's just given me our book, which is How to Fire Staff So They Thank You, Fire Well.
Exactly. And
Brilliant.
it's how to make the most sort of scary no
Yeah.
that you make in a business, which is to let someone go, and how to do it in a way with that hard back, soft front, so that they actually say thank you.
So if someone wants to buy this book, it's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
Someone wants to get in touch with you, because I know we've done programs in the past and things, which everyone still talks about. Awesome information. And I mean,
I've been in contact with people for years from that.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, even just how much you've put into this has been fabulous. And I'm sure everyone's taken so much away.
Yeah.
If someone wants to get in touch with you, though, Sue, what's the best way?
You can always email me, Sue@conversewell, converse as in talk, conversewell.com, Sue@conversewell.com. I'm on LinkedIn, link into me. Go to my website. You'll be able to sort of click on and receive newsletters and updates. And I've also got a YouTube channel. So you can always go to YouTube and look for me, Sue Ingram. And there's lots of tips and ideas. And I'll be populating a lot more of that next year as well. So you can get ideas from that as well.
I'll put it all in the show notes as well.
Thank you. Thank you so
But
much.
thank you so much, Sue. It's been
Thank you.
absolutely awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.